Relax, close your eyes if you dare, and imagine the sound of tires gliding across a wet, empty highway. The hum of the engine, the faint hiss of falling rain, the kind of silence that makes your skin prickle because you realize it isn't silence at all. It's the kind of night where the road seems endless, and once you're on it, there's no way back. Our story begins with Claire. She wasn't supposed to be driving this late. The rain had started earlier than forecast, and the winding back roads were nearly deserted, cutting through a stretch of thick pine forest that looked black against the clouds. She glanced at the clock on her dashboard, 12:41 a.m., far later than she'd planned to be on the road. Her fingers tapped the steering wheel in rhythm with the wipers. A pale glow from the dashboard lit her face, but beyond the glass, nothing but rain-streaked darkness. The air felt heavier than it should. Claire tried to shake it off. "It's just a drive," she whispered to herself, though the words seemed swallowed instantly, as if the car itself refused to carry her voice. Her high beams caught something, a flash of pale shape in the woods. She slowed, heartbeat quickening, eyes scanning. For a moment, she thought it was a deer, but the shape didn't move. It was just standing there, a figure, a man. He stood at the tree line, motionless, his face indistinct in the rain. His clothes looked dark, blending with the forest. Only his pale skin reflected the light, just enough for Claire to know she wasn't imagining him. She blinked, and he was gone. Her pulse thundered in her ears. "Keep driving," she muttered. "Don't stop, just keep driving." The road wound tighter, trees pressing closer as if trying to smother the highway. The rain came harder, her wipers struggling to keep up. She leaned forward, eyes straining to see more than a few feet ahead. That's when she saw them, headlights, not coming toward her, but in her rearview mirror, bright, too bright. Her stomach dropped. She hadn't seen another car for miles. Yet now there it was. The vehicle kept its distance at first, trailing like a shadow. Then suddenly it surged closer, its beams flooding her mirrors until she had to squint. She pressed the gas, so did they. The hum of her engine rose, echoing in her chest. Okay, just stay calm," she whispered, her throat tight. "It's just another driver." But deep down, she knew, no driver follows you like that. She took the next curve faster than she should have, tires squealing as water slicked beneath them. For a second, she lost control. The car skidded, fishtailed, then steadied again. Her breath hitched, sweat forming at her temples despite the cold. The other car didn't falter. It stayed behind her, always the same distance, as though it were tethered to her, and then the lights blinked off. Darkness swallowed the road behind her, nothing but rain. Claire's hands tightened on the wheel. She couldn't see it anymore, but she knew it was still there. The road narrowed again, climbing uphill. Her high beams swept over a roadside sign, its letters warped by weather. "Welcome to Hollow Creek Population 217. She'd never heard of Hollow Creek. She hadn't meant to turn off the main road. But somewhere in the storm, she must have taken a wrong exit. As the incline leveled, she saw something that made her blood freeze. A gas station, abandoned, its lights long dead, its windows shattered. A lone canopy stood over rusting pumps, the paint peeling. The word "open" still dangling crookly in the window, though the place hadn't been open in decades. She should have kept driving. But something inside her whispered, "Stop, look closer." Her car slowed to a crawl. Rain hammered the roof as she peered at the station, and then the headlights reappeared. Directly behind her, her heart lurched. No sound of an engine. No approach, just on, like the car had been waiting for her to stop. Claire's hands shook as she slammed the gas. Her car surged forward, tires splashing water across the broken pavement. She didn't dare look back, but she could feel it. The other car followed. This wasn't random anymore. This was a hunt. And Claire was the prey. Her GPS flickered on the dash, static garbling the screen until it showed nothing but jagged lines. The radio crackled without being touched, voices whispering in fractured syllables, too faint to understand. Claire's throat tightened. The forest seemed to lean closer, and somewhere beneath the hiss of the rain, she swore she heard footsteps, not outside, not on the road, but inside the car. Claire's grip on the steering wheel was white-knuckled, her breath shallow, sharp. The radio still hissed faint static, but every so often she swore she caught fragments of words inside the noise. A woman's voice, slow, calm, almost soothing. Don't look back. Her eyes flicked to the rearview mirror anyway. The headlights were still there, too bright, too close. They didn't sway with the road, didn't bounce the way normal headlights would. They stayed fixed, steady, like a predator's eyes locked on its prey. Claire's stomach churned. She pressed the accelerator harder, engine groaning, but the road seemed to stretch endlessly before her. The woods pressed closer with every mile, their branches clawing at the sky like skeletal fingers. Her mind screamed, "Get off this road. Find help. Get away." Then a shape appeared. A building up ahead, dimly lit by a flickering neon sign that buzzed faintly even through the storm. A diner. Relief surged through her, though unease quickly followed. What kind of diner stayed open this late in a place like this? Still, it was her only choice. She flicked her blinker and turned sharply into the gravel lot. The other car didn't follow. Its headlights cut off the moment she left the road. The diner's parking lot was empty. Not a single vehicle. Not a single sound, save for the rain tapping on her roof. Claire pulled close to the entrance and killed the engine, the sudden silence pressing in on her like a weight. Her reflection in the glass door startled her, pale, wide-eyed, her hair damp with sweat. She forced herself to breathe and pushed the door open. A faint bell chimed overhead as she stepped inside. The diner smelled faintly of stale coffee and grease, as though time had stopped here decades ago. The neon sign outside flickered through the windows, washing the room in pulses of sickly pink and blue. At first, she thought it was empty. Then she saw the waitress. She stood behind the counter, back turned, stiff as if frozen mid-task. Slowly, with mechanical precision, she turned toward Claire. Her face was blank, not in expression, but in detail. There were no eyes, no mouth. Just smooth skin where features should have been. Claire stumbled back, a scream catching in her throat. The waitress tilted her head as though studying her and then raised a hand to point at the window. Claire's body obeyed before her mind did. She turned. Through the rain-streaked glass, the headlights glared again. The car was parked at the edge of the lot, silent, waiting. "No," Claire whispered, heart hammering. "No, no, no." When she turned back, the waitress was gone. The diner was empty, completely empty. The bell above the door chimed again, though Claire hadn't moved. Cold air swept in from behind her, carrying the smell of wet earth and rusted metal. Her instincts screamed, "Get out, run." She bolted back to her car, shoes splashing in the puddles. The headlights flared brighter, blinding her for an instant. She yanked the door open, jumped inside, and slammed it shut, locking it with trembling hands. Her keys shook in the ignition before she twisted them. The engine sputtered, coughed, then died. She tried again, dead. Claire's chest heaved as she glanced up. The other car's door was opening. A long, slow creak carried through the storm. Her pulse roared in her ears. She couldn't move, couldn't breathe. She could only stare as a tall figure stepped out, silhouette blurred by the rain. It moved with deliberate slowness, as if savoring every second. Then silence. The headlights cut out again, plunging everything into black. Claire's scream lodged in her throat. She slammed her fist against the steering wheel, tears burning her eyes. The radio clicked on. No static this time. Just the same woman's calm, soft voice. You should not have stopped. Claire's blood froze. The voice wasn't coming from the radio. It was coming from the back seat. She whipped around, but darkness swallowed the rear of the car. She couldn't see. She couldn't. A hand pressed against the window outside, inches from her face, pale, wet, with fingernails cracked and broken, leaving faint red streaks against the glass. Claire gasped and threw herself against the driver's side door, fumbling at the handle. It opened with a groan, and she stumbled out into the storm. The other car was gone, the figure was gone, but her own car headlights flicked on by themselves, blinding her in the downpour. The horn blared, long and deafening, echoing across the empty diner lot. She clutched her ears, falling to her knees. And through the sound, through the light, she thought she saw movement. Dozens of shapes stepping out of the tree line. Figures, silent, watching, their faces blank, just like the waitress. The rain stopped. The world grew silent. And Claire realized she hadn't just stumbled onto the wrong road. She had been led here. Claire's body screamed at her to run, but her legs felt rooted to the wet gravel. The faceless figures stood just beyond her headlights, unmoving, carved from shadow. One tilted its head. Another raised an arm, pointing at her. No, her voice cracked. Then, all at once, they stepped forward. Not fast, not lunging. Just closer. Claire stumbled into the diner, the warped chime groaning like metal underwater. Inside, everything had changed. Torn booths, swinging lights, a jukebox shrieking one endless note. And behind the counter, herself. Same wet hair, same terrified eyes. Her double's mouth opened, and black liquid poured out. Her jaw cracked wide, unnaturally stretched. Claire screamed and spun toward the door. Slam. It locked. Bang, bang, bang. The figures pounded the glass outside in unison. The diner shook, then silence. The bell chimed again. A single figure entered, tilting its faceless head. It crouched, then sprinted. Claire shoved past it, tearing through the kitchen. Pots clattered. She burst out the back exit onto a road. No diner. No woods. No car. Just endless pavement glowing faintly in the black sky. Her breath quivered. The silence pressed against her skull. Then headlights bloomed behind her. The car. No engine. Just the low hum that crawled up her spine. Claire ran, sneakers slapping asphalt. The road stretched endlessly. The lights followed, closer, brighter, ahead. A figure. A man. Tall, thin, brimmed hat shadowing his face. Something glinted in his hand. A knife. She stopped, caught between the faceless thing behind and the danger ahead. The man lifted his head. This one had a face, a smile stretched ear to ear. Too many teeth to fit. He whispered something and stepped forward. The snow thickened, falling in heavy veils that blurred the road into a narrow ribbon of gray. My wipers groaned under the strain, smearing more than they cleared, and I leaned forward over the wheel, my breath fogging the glass. For a moment, I considered pulling over, but the thought of stopping in that emptiness made my skin crawl. The forest pressed close on either side, the trees skeletal and black against the white. Their branches clawed at the sky like hands reaching out for something or someone, and then my headlights caught movement. A figure. Standing in the middle of the road, I gasped, slamming the brakes. The car fishtailed, tires skidding across the slick ice, the seatbelt yanking against my chest. My heart hammered so hard it drowned out everything. The figure didn't move, didn't flinch. It just stood there. When the car finally lurched to a stop, only a few feet away, I blinked through the windshield. There was nothing. No one. Just the falling snow, thick and endless, the empty road stretching forward. My hands shook on the steering wheel. I knew what I'd seen. A silhouette. Human. Still as a statue. I swallowed hard and forced the car forward again. The tires crunched through the snow, the hum of the engine steady, but my eyes flicked from mirror to mirror, searching the shadows, and then I saw it in the rear view. Someone walking behind my car. Not running, not rushing to catch up, just walking. Step by slow, steady step. I blinked, my stomach flipping over. My headlights threw nothing behind me but the swirling storm. Yet in the mirror, a man's shape, broad shoulders, long legs. A face I couldn't quite make out, blurred as though the glass itself refused to show me. I gripped the wheel tighter, refusing to look back again. The mirror had to be lying. The snow, the fatigue, the late hour. My mind was playing tricks, but then a sharp tap on the glass beside me. I screamed, swerving the wheel, the car jerking sideways. My eyes flew to the window. Nothing, no one. The glass was clear, untouched, but the sound had been real. It had been right there. My breaths came quick and shallow now. The hum of the engine was the only thing tethering me, a steady thrum against the chaos in my chest. And then a voice, soft, low, almost like a whisper carried by the wind. "Why are you out here?" The words slithered into my ears, though the car was sealed tight, the heater humming. My throat tightened, my voice catching before I could even form a reply. I didn't answer. I just pressed harder on the accelerator, the engine growling louder, the speedometer climbing. The road curved sharply and I hugged it, the tires spitting snow from beneath them. But the voice came again, closer, inside the car. "Do you know where you're going?" I froze, my knuckles white against the wheel. The passenger seat beside me was empty. Empty, and yet the voice had come from there. I dared to look. For the briefest instant, a man sat there. Pale face, hollow eyes that seemed to sink into darkness itself. His lips curled into a smile that wasn't a smile at all, but a baring of teeth, sharp, too sharp, and then he was gone. My seat was empty again. My chest heaved, panic choking me like a noose. I wanted to scream, to slam the brakes, to leap from the car and run into the storm. But the thought of leaving this fragile bubble of light, of stepping into that endless black and white void, was worse. So I drove on, faster now. Snow lashed the windshield. The trees bent with the weight of ice. And in the hum of the engine, beneath the whine of the tires, I heard him whisper again. "Not much farther now." The road narrowed as the forest thickened, branches arching overhead like a tunnel of skeletal fingers. My headlights painted everything in harsh streaks of white and black, but beyond their reach, the night swallowed the world whole. I couldn't shake the echo of that whisper. Not much farther now. The words clung to me, seeping into my skin, making my pulse hammer like it was trying to escape. I checked the passenger seat again. Empty. Of course it was empty. But I kept glancing, unable to help myself, as though the very act of looking away would invite him back. Then another sound, this time from the back seat, a faint shift. The creak of weight pressing into the upholstery. Every muscle in my body locked. I didn't turn. Couldn't turn. My eyes glued themselves to the road, to the white blur of snow rushing past. My mind screamed at me to look, to confirm what I already feared. Slowly, against every instinct, I tilted the rearview mirror and froze. He was there, not a blur this time, not a trick of the storm. A man sat in the back seat, his face shrouded in shadow, but his grin, that grin cut through the darkness, wide, stretched too far as though it didn't belong to a human mouth at all. His teeth glinted, long and sharp, catching the dim glow of the dashboard lights. I sucked in a ragged breath, my chest seizing. My hands trembled violently on the wheel. "Eyes on the road," he whispered. I obeyed, instantly. The voice was so close now, curling against my ear like icy breath. My knuckles ached from gripping the wheel too tight, but I couldn't let go, couldn't swerve, couldn't scream. The car felt like a coffin on wheels, trapping me with him. The road ahead stretched endlessly, curving, winding, no end in sight. Then suddenly he laughed. It was low at first, almost a chuckle, but it grew louder, sharper, until it filled the car, bouncing off the windows, a hideous chorus of mirth. I squeezed my eyes shut for just a second, praying when I opened them, he'd be gone. When I looked again, the back seat was empty, but the laughter hadn't stopped. It was everywhere now, outside, inside, in my head. I stomped the gas, desperate to outrun it, but the speedometer climbed uselessly. No matter how fast I went, the forest pressed closer and the road refused to end. And then, lights, dim at first, like fireflies through the snow, then brighter, a house. Relief crashed over me. My body sagged forward as though the sight alone had stolen my strength. Shelter, somewhere, anywhere but here. I swerved onto the narrow drive, the tires crunching over ice and gravel. The house stood crooked and old, its windows dark, its roof bowed beneath the snow, no signs of life. No smoke from the chimney. Still, I parked and stumbled out, the cold biting deep into my skin. My boots sank into the snow as I staggered toward the porch. My breath puffed white clouds, and for the first time in hours, I felt hope. Maybe there'd be a phone. Maybe someone would help. I lifted a trembling hand and knocked. The sound echoed hollowly. Then the door creaked open just slightly. Hello? My voice cracked, barely more than a whisper. Silence. I pushed the door wider. It groaned on its hinges, revealing a shadowy interior. The smell hit me first raw. Damp wood. Something sour, metallic. The air was thick, heavy, like the house itself was holding its breath. And then I heard it. A faint shuffle from upstairs, followed by a whisper that made every hair on my body stand on end. You made it. The whisper seemed to seep from the very walls, thick and damp, as if the house itself had spoken. My body screamed at me to run back into the snow, to take my chances on that endless cursed road, but my legs carried me forward. The door shut behind me with a soft click. I hadn't touched it. I froze. The air pressed down heavy and sour, the scent of blood and rot curling into my lungs. The floorboards moaned under my steps as I crept deeper into the hallway, lit only by the faint spill of moonlight from the open door. Upstairs, the voice coaxed. I should have turned and fled. I knew that. But my hands were numb, my thoughts thick, as though something unseen guided me. My boots scraped the stairs as I climbed, each step groaning like it hadn't been touched in years. At the top, a door stood slightly ajar. Light leaked out dim, flickering. Candlelight. I swallowed hard, pushing it open. The room inside was lined with dozens of mirrors, cracked and warped. Every surface reflected me, but not me. In some, my face was hollow-eyed, pale, dead. In others, my smile stretched wide, a grotesque parody. Some mirrors showed me sitting, standing, even screaming, while I remained frozen at the threshold. And there, in the largest mirror, he stood, the man from the back seat. Not behind me, not beside me, only in the reflection. His grin was wider than ever, splitting his face ear to ear. His black eyes glittered with hunger. He raised a finger, beckoning me closer. Drive forever, or stay with me. The whisper wasn't in the room anymore. It was in my head, crawling under my skin, burning into my bones. I stumbled backward, my reflection lagging a second too slow, grinning when I wasn't, my chest constricted. I couldn't breathe. I bolted, down the stairs, through the hallway, toward the door, only to find it gone. The wall stood solid where the entrance had been, as though it never existed. The laughter returned, that same horrible laugh from the car, rattling through the walls, echoing up the stairs, pounding in my skull. I ran to a window, wrenching it open, desperate for the cold sting of snow, but outside was no longer the forest. It was the road. that same twisting, endless strip of asphalt stretching through the storm. Headlights glared in the distance, rushing toward me. And then sudden silence. I turned slowly. He was there, no longer confined to mirrors, not in the shadows, not behind me. Standing real inches away, his grin stretched impossibly wide, teeth sharp as broken glass. He leaned close, his breath freezing my ear. Time to finish the drive. Darkness swallowed me. When I opened my eyes, I was behind the wheel again. The storm raged outside. The road stretched ahead. And in the passenger seat, he sat waiting, grinning, watching, as if he had always been there. And the road, it never ended. They say some roads are cursed, that if you drive them long enough, they don't just take you somewhere, they take you forever. So if you're out there driving late at night and the storm closes in and the road feels endless, don't look in your mirrors, because he might be there waiting for you.